Dark Zero, the Horror Network.
Before we even get the music started and really jump into today's deep dive, I just have to give a massive shout out.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, to the subscribers of the Dark Zero Horror Network.
Yeah.
You guys are literally the engine that keeps this whole train moving.
100%.
So if you haven't already, please go hit like and subscribe to that channel right now. Seriously, go do it. We will wait for you.
Go on.
Okay, ready. Let's do this. I'm Kevin, by the way.
And I'm Sarah.
And imagine you are walking through a dusty used bookstore. You know that kind
Oh,
of...
ones that smell like old paper and coffee.
Exactly. And you're scanning the bottom shelf, moving past the massive stacks of Stephen King's and Dean Koontz's.
Right.
And you spot this paperback. It looks like standard mass-market horror from the mid-2000s. The cover art is a little bit cheesy. The corners are all worn out.
I probably think it's, what, $2?
$2, maybe $3 tops.
Yeah.
But then you go home, you check online, and you realize you are actually holding a holy grail.
Oh.
You're holding a book that is currently selling for upwards of $150 on the secondhand market.
And honestly, the price tag isn't even the weirdest thing about it.
Not even close. Because inside this specific book, one of the most iconic analog slasher villains of the entire 1980s is being completely reinvented.
It's wild.
We are talking about boilers and steam pipes in the traditional sense anymore. I mean, we are talking about a sci-fi techno-thriller world. It feels like it was written for Black Mirror.
Which is crazy because it was written years before that show even existed.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack this massive, unexpected collision of genres. The book is A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Dealers by Jeffrey Thomas.
It really takes something so familiar and just it twists it into something totally unrecognizable.
If you think you know the Springwood Slasher, you know, the glove, the dirty sweater, the cheesy one-liners.
You just need to set all of that aside for this deep dive.
You really do. We're going to take you into a version of Springwood that has been upgraded, digitized, and made significantly more terrifying for the modern age.
And to do that, we've pulled from a few different places.
Yeah, we've combed through retro reviews from the Slasher Pepper channel. We dug up some really fascinating archival interviews with the author, Jeffrey Thomas. And we looked at the archival wikis for the publisher to figure out why this book is so rare.
Because context really is everything here.
It is.
To understand why this book is such a weird artifact, you have to remember where the franchise was in July 2006.
It was a weird time.
Very weird. We were in this dead zone for horror. Freddy vs. Jason came out in 2003, which, you know, was a huge commercial hit, but it sort of ended that specific timeline.
Right, it's the capstone.
Exactly. And we were still years away from that controversial 2010 remake with Jackie Earle Haley, so the franchise was essentially in limbo.
It was just totally dormant.
Yeah, dormant. So New Line Cinema licensed the rights to a UK publisher called Black Flame.
Right, I remember them.
Their whole job was just to keep the heartbeat of these franchises going with tie-in novels. But The Dream Dealers was essentially the swan song for this entire experiment.
Because the publisher went out of business shortly after this released, right?
That's it. It's the worst-case scenario for any media. Print runs were cut short, distribution literally stopped midstream, and the book just vanished from shelves.
Which explains the insane eBay economics.
Exactly. That's why collectors are paying top dollar. It's not just a story. It acts as a tombstone for a defunct publisher. It represents the end of an era before the reboot culture fully took over Hollywood.
But, you know, we aren't here just to talk about publishing failures. We are here for the actual story. Because when I started reading the summary of this, I had to double check that I was actually reading a Nightmare on Elm Street book.
It feels completely different.
It sounds way more like a Philip K. Dick novel.
Mm-hmm.
Picture this. You are in Springwood, Ohio. But it is not the suburban white picket fence Springwood of 1984.
Right, it's the near future.
And in this future, technology has taken this massive leap forward. The central piece of tech, the thing that drives the entire plot of the book, is a device called the TranceBox.
Made by a company called Saxon Systems.
Right. And I love this concept because it feels so prescient now. Think of it like the ultimate evolution of an Oculus or an Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
But we aren't just talking about screens strapped to your face.
No, not at all.
It's not just audio and video, is it?
No, and that distinction is really vital for the horror aspect. If it were just a really good VR headset, it wouldn't be that scary.
Right.
The TranceBox is about sensory integration. You aren't just watching a POV recording. You are literally plugging into someone else's recorded memories and dreams.
Viscerally.
Viscerally. You feel exactly what they feel.
So walk me through that. If the person who recorded the dream is, say, eating a steak, do I taste the steak?
Precisely. If they're drinking expensive wine, you taste the grapes. If they are skydiving, you feel the wind on your face and that drop in your stomach. It is the ultimate empathy machine. But of course, it's been commodified as mass entertainment.
Because capitalism.
Exactly. People in this near-future world are totally addicted to it because it lets them escape their own mundane lives. They can literally inhabit someone else's peak experiences.
Which, I mean, sounds great for a vacation simulator, but this is a horror story.
Right.
And the logic follows pretty quickly that if you can feel someone's pleasure through this box, you can absolutely feel their pain.
And that is exactly where the horror creeps in. The industry around this device is incredibly shady.
Cue the evil corporation.
Enter Macrocosm Research. It sounds exactly like the kind of faceless, ethically bankrupt corporation you would expect in a cyberpunk thriller.
Macrocosm. It just sounds evil.
It does. They've been contracted by the government to study the brains of local murder victims in Springwood.
And this is where the medical mystery of the book starts. These aren't just random run-of-the-mill victims. They all have these strange, unexplained tumors.
Yes, and the tumors are located specifically in the dream centers of their brains.
Which is a huge red flag.
Huge. The scientists at Macrocosm, they don't actually know what's causing these tumors. Spoiler alert, it's supernatural.
Obviously.
But they do know the brain activity recorded inside them is incredibly potent. It is just raw, unfiltered dream energy.
And this brings us to our protagonist, a guy named Alex Carmack. He's a researcher at Macrocosm. But let's just say Alex isn't exactly following the employee handbook.
Not even a little bit.
He stumbled onto these tumor dreams and realizes how intense they are. So what does he do? He starts a side hustle.
Classic.
He starts smuggling copies of these recorded dreams out of the secure lab.
It's basically corporate espionage meeting the black market. He's taking these recordings to a rival company called Mnemonic Designs.
To sell them.
Exactly, to sell them as the next big extreme entertainment thrill for the TranceBox. He really thinks he's sitting on a gold mine of trippy, abstract content. He even tries to frame it as avant-garde art.
But instead of just keeping it strictly business and selling them, Alex does something incredibly reckless.
He really does.
He hands a bunch of these black market dream tapes over to his younger brother, Devon.
Yep.
And naturally, because Devon is a teenager in a slasher story, he immediately shares them with his friends.
Because of course he does. And they just think they're getting a free trip. You know, a cool, spoopy ride to experience on a Friday night in the basement.
They have no idea what they're messing with.
None. They have no idea. They are literally plugging their brains directly into the residual energy of Freddy Krueger's past victims.
I want to pause on the mechanics of this for a second because I think this is such a brilliant way to resurrect a villain.
It's so smart.
In the lore of this specific book, Freddy has been dormant, or essentially dead, for about 20 years. And the reason he's gone is simply because people forgot about him.
And that is a direct nod to the Freddy versus Jason logic. Jeffrey Thomas, the author, was very open about that in the archival interviews we looked at.
Right.
He treated Freddy like a tulpa.
A Tibetan thought form.
Exactly. A creature built entirely out of collective belief. He needs fear and memory to exist. If no one in Springwood remembers the slasher, he has no power. He effectively just ceases to be.
But these tapes, these recorded nightmares.
They are fresh fuel. It is exactly like jump-starting a dead car battery.
Wow.
By playing these recordings in the TranceBox, these kids are feeding Freddy pure, high-octane energy. They are remembering him by proxy.
And suddenly, he's not just a ghost haunting a physical boiler room anymore. He's becoming something completely else.
He's becoming a digital entity.
It's almost like he is malware.
That's a perfect analogy. He was a dormant file sitting on a hard drive, and they just double-clicked and executed the program.
And the stakes escalate so incredibly fast. It isn't just about one haunted house on Elm Street anymore. We have to talk about the hacker character.
Oh, Autumn.
Autumn, yeah. She's one of Devon's friends.
Right, and she runs a blog, which is very 2006 of her.
Very era appropriate.
And she thinks, wow, this content is amazing. The world needs to see this. So she wants to upload these recorded nightmares straight to the internet.
And that is the terrifying twist that makes this book feel so incredibly modern. If she uploads those files, anyone with a TranceBox anywhere in the world can download them.
Exactly. Just think about the implications of that for a second.
It's massive.
Freddy goes from being a local legend, just this contained town secret in Springwood, to a global virus.
He could haunt a kid in Tokyo, a businessman in London, and a gamer in New York all at the exact same time.
It is literally Freddy Krueger going viral.
It predicts our current obsession with digital sharing in such a dark way. I mean, we share everything now. Our breakfasts, our vacations, our gym routines.
We do.
In this world, they're sharing their trauma. And the villain is just hitching a ride on that bandwidth.
It completely redefines the whole infection trope. It's not a biological virus, it's a meme, but it's a meme that kills you.
A lethal meme.
And because the TranceBox is bidirectional, meaning it feeds directly into your brain chemistry, it's not just that you see him on a screen, he enters you.
So let's talk about what actually happens when you are in the box.
Yeah.
The sources describe the dream logic in the book as really fascinating.
He's one of the best parts.
Because these are recordings, you would normally think they'd be static, like watching a movie on a DVD. If I watch The Godfather, the ending is the exact same every single time.
But that is not how the TranceBox works.
Right.
Because the device interacts with the user's actual brainwaves, it remixes the content in real time.
So it's dynamic.
Very dynamic. It takes the recorded nightmare of the victim, which is essentially the base code, and it blends it with the user's own personal fears and memories.
That is awful.
So every time someone plugs in, they are creating a brand new, highly personalized hellscape for Freddy to inhabit. It's procedurally generated horror.
There's one scene that really stood out in the reviews we looked at. Slasher Pepper called it the standout set piece of the entire book.
The hospital room.
Yes, it takes place in a hospital room.
Oh, this scene is so intense. It perfectly illustrates that remix culture of the dreams we just talked about.
Set the scene for us.
So the characters are trapped in a dream version of a hospital room. There is a burn victim in the bed, which is classic Freddy imagery right there.
Sure.
But there is a ticking bomb attached to the burn victim's body.
Which is a stress element you do not usually see in a standard slasher. Usually it's just a chase scene. You run away.
Right, but here there is a tactical dilemma. If they stay in the room, the bomb goes off and they die in the dream.
And dying in the dream means dying in real life.
Exactly. Their brains get fried by the feedback loop of the headset. But if they run out the door into the hallway to escape the bomb,
So Freddy is standing right there.
waiting to slash them to ribbons.
It's that ultimate rock and a hard place tension. It is not just a cheap jump scare. It's an active puzzle they have to solve while they are absolutely terrified.
It feels incredibly cinematic.
It really does. And speaking of the man himself, how does Freddy's personality actually come across in this?
That's a great question.
Because by the time we got to the mid-2000s, the movie version of Freddy had become kind of a cartoon character.
He really had. He was cracking dad jokes, winking at the camera, playing air guitar on his victims with the glove.
Super campy.
Very campy. But Jeffrey Thomas wanted to pull him way back from that. He described this version of Freddy as nasty and smugly self-amused.
Interesting.
He actually drew direct inspiration from the demon Pazuzu in The Exorcist.
So he's still taunting them, but it's cruel, not just slapstick comedy.
Exactly. It is pure psychological warfare. There is this one line he says to a character named Grace Simmons.
What happened?
She's terrified. And Freddy brings up his own mother, Amanda Krueger, the nun who was trapped in the asylum.
Right, the classic lore.
He calls her a saint, but he says it completely sarcastically. And then he drops this hammer on Grace. He says, "You have only one maniac for a father. I've got 100 of them."
That is chilling.
Isn't it?
It's a reference to his origin story, obviously, being the bastard son of 100 maniacs.
Mm-hmm.
But in this specific context, it is just pure intimidation.
It really reminds you that he isn't just a guy with knives on his fingers. He is a literal concentration of pure evil.
Yeah.
And he wears that horrific heritage-like armor.
I want to pivot a bit to the behind-the-scenes aspect, because the stories how this book actually got written is almost as interesting as the plot itself.
It's a great story.
It turns out Jeffrey Thomas didn't even originally pitch a Nightmare on Elm Street book.
No, he didn't. Back in 2004, Black Flame was actively looking for pitches for all the different New Line Cinema franchises.
Okay.
Thomas actually pitched a Jason X novel first. You know, Friday the 13th in space.
Which makes total sense knowing his bibliography. He is widely known for writing sci-fi horror. specifically his Punktown series.
Exactly. He had this whole elaborate idea involving clones and space gangs for Jason, but Black Flame already had other Jason books lined up in the queue, so his idea got delayed.
Scheduling conflict.
Yeah. And while he was waiting around, he put together a pitch for Nightmare. And it was actually the editor, Mark Newton, who suggested the twist.
Really? The editor did that?
Yeah. Newton said, hey, since you like sci-fi so much, why don't you set this in the near future? Make it a techno-horror.
That is such a crucial intervention by an editor. I mean, if he hadn't said that, we might have just gotten another standard teens in a suburban house slasher.
Just a rehash.
Instead, we got this wild cyberpunk hybrid.
And Thomas actually had to change his entire writing style for this, too.
How so?
He mentioned in an interview that he usually writes organically, meaning he just makes it up as he goes along with no outline. He just lets the characters dictate the action.
Pantsing, they call it.
Right. But for a licensed property like a major horror franchise, the publishers demanded a strict, detailed outline before he was allowed to write a single word.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
He found it really frustrating at first, but he admitted later that it worked perfectly for this kind of complex, time-looping plot.
There is also a really cool Easter egg regarding the names in the book that I absolutely have to point out.
I think I know where you're going with this.
We mentioned Alex and Devon Carmack earlier. The brothers at the center of this whole mess.
Right.
As a massive gamer, the second I heard the name Carmack and techno horror in the same sentence, my ears perked up instantly.
I figured you would catch that one. It definitely cannot be a coincidence.
They have to be named after John Carmack, right?
They absolutely are. John Carmack, the co-founder of Infect software, the programming genius behind Doom and Quake.
It is just such a perfect nod to the audience. You have a book about digital hellscapes, literal demons, and bleeding-edge technology. So, of course, you name the main characters after the guy who basically invented the first-person shooter engine.
It fits the theme perfectly.
It really does.
And it shows that Thomas really understood the culture he was tapping into. He wasn't just throwing computers into the story to sound modern or edgy. He was referencing the actual history of digital violence.
Because Doom is basically the grandfather of the hell on a screen concept.
Exactly.
So let's fast forward a bit to the climax of the book. We have Alex, the older brother, who started this whole black market mess trying to wipe memories to star Freddy.
Right.
And we have Devon, the younger brother, going deep into the dream world. How does this final showdown actually play out?
It is totally chaotic. Alex is frantically trying to erase memories using the macrocosm technology in the real world.
Because if you don't remember Freddy, he loses power.
Right. He's basically trying to scrub the servers, so to speak. Meanwhile, Devon and his friend Trisha use a TranceBox to voluntarily go into the dream world to save their friends who are trapped.
And this is where it gets explosive. Devon actually finds a dream bomb in the dreamscape. You gotta love dream logic.
It's the best.
And he uses it to literally blow Freddy up.
And in a very poetic justice kind of moment, Freddy is left scattered and at the mercy of the vengeful souls of his own recent victims.
Including the hacker, Autumn, right?
Yes, Autumn, who Freddy had brutally murdered earlier when she tried to upload the nightmares. It is a very satisfying beatdown by the ghosts.
So, boom. Freddy is blown up. The server is wiped clean. Memories are successfully erased. The day is saved.
Well, and this is what makes the book so incredibly memorable for fans. It has a classic Twilight Zone style ending.
Oh, I love those.
It is incredibly ironic and ultimately deeply tragic.
Lay it on us. This is the part of the summary that really stuck with me.
So Alex uses the macrocosm technology to wipe everyone's memory of Freddy, including his own memory and Devon's memory.
Okay.
He thinks he is scrubbing the slate perfectly clean to protect the world. He wants to completely remove the virus from the human hard drive.
Makes sense.
But because he now has amnesia about the entire event, he doesn't remember why he did it in the first place.
Oh, no. I can clearly see where this is going.
A few weeks later, the government pushes Macrocosm to restart the Dream Study project. And who do you think they put in charge of the new initiative?
Alex.
Alex.
The guy who literally just wiped his own memory to stop this exact thing.
Exactly. Alex is put in charge of studying the dream tumors from the latest batch of local murder victims.
Who happen to be his own friends.
Yes, his friends that died horribly during the events of the book. He looks at these brain scans, totally oblivious to who these people actually are, and he thinks to himself, wow, this data is incredible. I can use these recorded memories to catch whatever serial killer did this.
So he is going to plug right back in, rediscover Freddy Krueger, and restart the entire cycle all over again.
Yep.
just because he erased the warning he effectively gave himself.
Exactly. He earnestly wants to drag the killer into the light, completely unknowingly unleashing the darkness all over again.
It's like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill.
But the rock is Freddy Krueger.
That is devastating.
Yeah.
It is such a dark, bleak ending.
It is. And apparently this setup was supposed to lead into a direct sequel book.
But Black Flame went out of business.
Right. The publisher folded, so the story just ends there. Forever. It is a massive cliffhanger that has lasted almost 20 years now.
That honestly makes the book even more legendary in a weird way. It is this unfinished symphony of sci-fi horror.
It really is.
Now, we talked about the insane price tag earlier in the show. If you are listening to this and you don't have a spare $150 lying around to buy a fragile paperback, are you just totally out of luck?
Thankfully, no. The horror community is actually amazing at media preservation. There is a YouTuber who goes by the name The 80s Slasher Librarian.
Which is just a great name.
It's the best name. He has actually narrated the full audiobook of The Dream Dealers on his channel.
Oh, that's awesome.
He did it specifically because the physical book is so rare, and he wanted fans to be able to experience the story without breaking the bank. So you can go listen to the entire thing right now for free.
That is doing the Lord's work right there. Because honestly, based on the reception we read, this isn't just a cheap cash grab tie-in.
No, the reviews were surprisingly positive. Critics called it quite readable and brilliant in its overall simplicity.
I can see why.
One reviewer on Slasher Pepper even said it would have made an incredible feature film. And honestly, looking back at the trajectory of the franchise, if New Line had pivoted to this techno-horror angle instead of the grim remake we got in 2010, things might look very different today.
It might have completely revitalized the whole series for a new generation.
Yeah.
It just feels so fresh. It predicts the digital age perfectly. It is honestly better conceptually than some of the actual movie sequels we got.
It really does feel that way. It takes the core concept of Freddy, the fact that he enters your mind when you're vulnerable, and it simply updates the delivery system.
Right.
It's not just falling asleep anymore, it's plugging in.
So let's recap why this deep dive was absolutely worth the trip today. We have a rare out-of-print book that essentially mashes up the Matrix with A Nightmare on Elm Street.
A perfect elevator pitch.
It features a nasty, business-like Freddy Krueger who literally wants to go viral. And it ends on a tragic time loop that feels totally earned.
And I think it serves as a great reminder that sometimes the most interesting, bold experiments in a franchise happen in the tie-in media, not in the big screen.
Because there's less oversight.
Exactly. This book took massive risks that a major Hollywood studio probably wouldn't have approved for a summer blockbuster movie.
Absolutely. It is a hidden gem in the truest sense of the word.
For sure.
Now, before we sign off today, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over tonight. This book came out in 2006, right on the cusp of the massive social media explosion.
Before everyone had a smartphone in their pocket.
Right. Today, we document everything. We basically live on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch. We are constantly inviting millions of people into our heads, showing them exactly what we see and feel.
We really do. We live our lives for an audience now.
So if the technology from the Dream Dealers actually existed today, if you could seamlessly record your dreams and upload them to the cloud, would you do it?
I wouldn't.
And more importantly, if you could plug your brain into a TranceBox and physically feel the absolute peak thrill of someone else's experience, would you do it even if you knew there was a risk you might feel their darkest terror instead?
That's the real trap.
Are we already inviting our nightmares to go viral just by being so constantly connected to each other?
That is a terrifying question to end on. I think I'll just stick to regular old sleep for now.
Probably a safe bet. But hey, sweet dreams, everyone. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Stay scary out there.